Good morning, students. Welcome to the current video section on necessary respiratory organs in various fishes. This is a general essay topic that we have to study under the superclass species. One of the most important aquatic adaptation of fish, it is the occurrence of the gills which enable them to breathe oxygen from water. The gills or the brachial or the braccae are finely folded outgrowths of the brachial pouches with rich vascular supply, so that the gaseous exchange takes place very easily in them. And a very few fishes and some brackish water have, besides the gills, a certain specialized structure which helps them to breathe when the fishes is away from water or out of the water. And these structures are collectively called as accessory respiratory organs. And generally the adult fishes depend chiefly on the pharyngeal gills for aquatic respiration. However, some other devices also occur which adds as a supplement or replaces the gill respiration. And all such additional respiratory organs that other than the gills are known as accessory respiratory organs. The development of accessory respiratory organs is found mostly in the freshwater fishes of tropical region, and it is found also rarely in the marine fishes. So sometimes the fishes of the tropical freshwaters such as the barbs, dinos, etc. And the downstreams develop accessory respiratory organs in order to meet the extra oxygen demand due to the depletion of the oxygen that occur during the summer when the water level is considerably less in the water bodies. So all those structures which acts as a supplement for the gill respiration comes under the accessory respiratory organs. It's also called as AROs. So accessory respiratory organs enable the fishes to live in oxygen deficient water and to estivate over the prolonged droughts in dry summer, to take excursions on land, or simply to meet the extra demand for oxygen, and also to overcome the adverse situations. Accessory respiratory organs are functionable in aquatic and the aerial environment, have been developed in fishes. So the development of such structures is essentially an adaptive nature, and some accessory organs subserve the aquatic respiration while others in the aerial respiration. So it depends upon the nature of the fish, on in which medium that the fish lives. So accessory respiratory organs is also called as an extrabrachial respiration, extrabrachial respiratory structures, or the type of respiration is called as extrabrachial respiration. Mainly the fishes are the gill breathers under exceptional environmental condition. When the brachial respiration is insufficient, in case the fishes are adapt to the aerial respiration, and it is for this aerial respiration that accessory respiratory organs are developed. In some cases of the fishes fishes uses accessory respiratory organs to increase the availability of oxygen, and the uses of accessory respiratory organ prevent the death during aestivation. Then mostly air breathing organs are present in the freshwater fishes. So a lot of modification, so the water scarcity is experienced by the freshwater rather than the marine fishes. So during the summer season, there is a chance for the evaporation of more water from the water bodies, and it leads to the water deprived water condition in the freshwater bodies. So at that time, the fishes which are present in these water bodies are able to undergo aerial respiration. So these are the structures, the common air-breathing structures found among the fishes. The first, the general skin itself acts as a accessory respiratory organ, then the brachial epithelium or brachial diverticulum, then pharyngeal epithelium or pharyngeal diverticulum, air-filled brachial chamber, then gas chambers and the lungs may be present, stomach and the intestine. So these are the uh, accessory respiratory organs which are seen in fishes. Let's see one by one. So the respiration through skin is also called as a cutaneous respiration, and it is the simplest form of aerial respiration. In this case, the skin is thin, moist, glandular, and richly vascular. Also, there will be the direct dissolution of diffusion of oxygen from the atmosphere to the through the skin to the blood. The embryos and the larvae of many fishes breathe by the skin until the gills become functional. The Accipenser and some catfishes, the highly vascular opercular fold serves as an accessory respiratory structures. In Ankyla, periophthalmus, polyophthalmus, also you can see this type of cutaneous respiration. So these are the pictures of certain accessory respiratory organs or the air-breathing teleost fishes. This is Amphibians, this Chenna or Ophiocephalus, Anabas, Clarius, Sacobranchus. This all structure we will be discussing in detail. It's a general picture showing the different types of accessory respiratory organs. You can see the modification on this opercular region, intestine, epithelium, pharynx region. You can see the modification. So the first modification, it is with respect to the skin. In eel, Ankyla, Amphibians, and periophthalmus and polyophthalmus, the skin is highly vascular. You can see the skin. The skin is highly vascular, and the skin itself acts as a surface for the gaseous exchange, as in the case of the frog, when the fishes is outside the water. And these fishes habitually leave the water and migrate from one place to another through damp vegetation. And during this period, the moist skin serves as an important organ in respiration, and they can respire cutaneously both in the air and in the water. So the skin itself is modified for the cutaneous respiration. You can see an epidermal layer, there is a dermal layer, there is a mucous gland, and the bony part of the scales also are visible, but the skin will be the slimy. So these are the fishes. This is Accipenser, Sturgeon, Accipenser. This is Ankyla or the eel-like. This is Periophthalmus, the picture of Polyophthalmus. In these all fishes, you can see the skin is cutaneous. Then the second type, it is a buccal pharyngeal epithelium, that is buccopharyngeal epithelium, that is a buccal lining and the pharyngeal lining will be having the special adaptation. As a special adaptation, these buccal and the pharyngeal epithelium have the capacity to absorb atmospheric oxygen. In most of the fishes, the epithelial lining and the buccal cavity and the pharynx is usually highly vascular and permeable to the gases in the water. In many, they remain the simple or may develop the folds or the pleated-like pleats or the tongues projecting into the buccal cavity and the pharynx to make it an efficient respiratory organ. So thereby increasing the surface area of this epithelium. The numerous folds may arise, and this acts as a surface for the respiratory surface. You can see here, this is a gill lamellae-like, and so many folds are present in this epithelial region, gill epithelium. In periophthalmus and bucophthalmos. Highly vascular buccopharyngeal epithelium helps in absorbing oxygen directly from the atmosphere. So that's the specialty of this periophthalmos and bucophthalmos. And these tropical fishes live water and spend most of their time skipping and walking in the damp areas or damp vegetative areas which is close to the water bodies. And you can see this type of fishes in the mangrove areas also. The old Idiodon, they are also called as a muck skippers. They have a vascular tail as a respiratory organs, and is also supporting the aerial respiration. It is a recent advancement, a recent finding that are put forward by ethologists. So that's all about the buccopharyngeal epithelium. So buccopharyngeal epithelium, the highly vascular buccopharyngeal epithelium acts as a accessory respiratory organ. Okay. Then next is about the gut epithelium. In several fishes, epithelial lining of certain parts of alimentary canal becomes vascular, modified to serve as a respiratory organ. So apart from the buccal cavity or the pharyngeal cavity, the gut itself will be having a vascular layer lining, highly vascular lining, which helps in the aerial respiration. So it may be just behind the stomach or in the intestine region, depending upon the fishes. In Lepidophalus, it is the intestine region. It is highly vascular, and the region just behind the stomach in Myscurus fossalis, then Gorbitus also in the intestine region, or in the rectum, as in the case of Doras and Callicus. So it depends upon the different type of the fishes. The region where the gut is highly vascular. Fresh air is drawn through the mouth or the anus, and after the gaseous exchange, the gas is eliminated through the anus. And in these fishes, the walls of the gut is modified to perform the respiratory function, and the walls of the gut of these areas become very thin, and due to the reduction of the muscular layers. So the highly vascular layer will be present in this gut intestine or the rectal region, and also it will be supplied with rich blood vessels. So there will be the direct exchange of gases at the time of oxygen scarcity. Then fourth, the certain outgrowths of the pelvic fishes. In American lungfishes such as Lepidopteran, during the breeding season, the pelvic fin of the male becomes enlarged. The pelvic fin will become enlarged. This is a pectoral and this is a pelvic fin. So this is a caudal fin and this is a pelvic fin. And this pelvic fin will become enlarged, and they grow filamentous vascular outgrowth which provides the fresh water to the guarded eggs. So this is a peculiar feature of this American lungfish called as a Lepidopteran. At the time of breeding season, this male will be provided with a highly vascular pelvic fins, which helps in the supply of more oxygen to the developing young ones. Then there is a pharyngeal diverticula. The pharyngeal diverticula, the pair of the simple sag-like outgrowth of the pharynx, lined by the thickened vascular epithelium and extending above the gills. In Ophicephalus, accessory respiratory organs are relatively similar and consist of a pair of air sacs. So, in these fishes, such named Chena or the Ophicephalus, you can see the certain pharynx region, diverticulum of the pharynx region, and it will be highly vascular too. We will see in the next section, we will see the detailed structure of this pharyngeal diverticulum, etc. Thank you.